Mr. Atheist, what's going on?
Actually, I'm Mr. Atheist. This other guy's a straw man that you built for yourself.
Oh, really? All sides sometimes build and erect straw men or quasi-straw men. Also, it's assumed here that all atheists think or say exactly the same. How does he know it's a, quote, straw man in the sense no atheist has ever said these things before? So is it really a total, quote, straw man at all? But we'll see just how true that is in this case.
You're just gonna ignore me, aren't you?
No, kid, don't worry. I'm listening.
Fine then, let's get on with this.
Hey, stupid God believer, you're stupid.
Well, aren't you a jerk? He hasn't even said anything stupid yet. And Mr. Precious, it's not the God-believing part that makes us think you're stupid. I mean, there's deists, and we usually don't have a problem with them. It's the whole science is an evil conspiracy against God thing.
And you have the nerve to talk about, quote, straw man? That right there is a silly and stupid and typical atheist straw man. But most knowledgeable theists do not say that true empirical science is an, quote, evil conspiracy against God at all, but rather that observable science and discoveries actually support and imply God or an intelligent director. It's myth and speculation that is dishonestly and neurotically touted off as, quote, science that biblical theists have a problem with. Big Bang is not, quote, science, but myth and superstition and conjecture. Abiogenesis is not, quote, science. Life coming from dead, lifeless chemicals and rocks with no direction or purpose. And so are mythical, quote, ape men and imagined, quote, fish ancestry of humans. It's force-fitting of ambiguous and scattered fossils and making dogmatic and reckless assumptions and claims and wrongly calling that junk science that true biblical theists have a problem with. Not real testable, quote, science. I personally love science, and by the way, I'm an old Earth creationist, not a young Earth fundy, because Genesis and the Hebrew language indicate an old Earth and universe as well as science. Side point. Anyway, you just erected a dopey straw man with this nonsense that theists think that there's an evil conspiracy against God by science. There is a conspiracy against theism, true, to some degree, in a sense, but it's not by real science, but by atheistic Darwinism, pseudoscience, Darwinists, and that really ain't the same.
Gee, you sure are grumpy, and you sound just like Patrick from SpongeBob.
You should know, you built him.
He should know, not really just because he built him, but because many atheists are rude, arrogant, obnoxious, and grumpy, and do sound snarly and snarky. Not all, but too many to ignore. So no, not really a, quote, straw man.
So, Mr. Atheist, I'd like to know what you think about the supernatural.
Well, put simply, I disbelieve the claims of the supernatural because of the lack of evidence.
No, you don't reject the idea of the supernatural because of supposed, quote, lack of evidence. As there have been documented things over the years and decades, etc., to indicate some spooky, unexplainable, and paranormal things here and there sometimes, and maybe demonic activity, etc., for real. So, the paranormal. So there is certain kinds of, quote, evidence. What you whine about is that there is maybe no solid, clear, constant proof right in front of you right now, right in front of you every second, of things floating around or unmistakable magic or miracles every moment.
There's no such thing as the supernatural, just like there's no such thing as God. Just like there's no such thing as the flying spaghetti monster.
Well, technically we can never be 100% sure about the non-existence of something, but I put it in the category as Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, leprechauns, so on and so forth.
Well, it's rather stupid to put the idea of a supreme creator or God in the same exact category as leprechauns, since there's no notion of little magical Irish fairies of folklore or Loch Ness Monster where there's no implication for something as important as the very existence of life and the universe with complex structures requiring intelligent direction, fail on the dopey and dishonest comparison. But it's very typical, and we know it's par for the course with the drones.
Oh, I see. Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe in the principle of cause and effect?
You mean the rule that says something cannot come from nothing? And every effect must have a cause?
Wait, what? No! The law of cause and effect has nothing to do with something cannot come from nothing. That's the first law of thermodynamics. So if the atheist straw man doesn't understand cause and effect, that means Mr. Creationist doesn't understand cause and effect. And I'm guessing that's what you've built your entire argument on. Oh, this is not going to be pretty.
No, it won't. But for you, kid. Because even though that atheist mentioned, quote, something can't come from nothing, which does deal with the first law of thermodynamics, true, he also mentioned, quote, every effect has a cause. And that is very true, which you kind of ignored. You only got that partly right. The so-called, quote, strawman atheist was not totally wrong in what he thinks the law of cause and effect is or deals with. But okay, let's hear now your convenient definition now of the law of cause and effect and your false claims of, quote, strawmen, and then get schooled a little bit yourself.
Yeah, of course, you moron. And that's why I don't believe in your stupid God. Because your God would totally break that rule. Idiot.
That's not really how that argument goes, but never mind. I'm not here for you. I'm here for Mr. Creationist. Please continue.
Actually, that is how the argument goes from many atheists. Not all atheists necessarily have barfed up the same exact junk that you have in every instance. Many atheists, left and right, say, quote, if something can't come from nothing, then how did God get here? Or, if everything has a cause, then that means God must have a cause too, arf arf. Yeah, that's always idiotically said. So yes, that's more or less how the argument goes from many people. Many atheists.
How about the Big Bang Theory? You agree with that?
Duh, of course. That's how the universe started. A big explosion of matter and energy.
Actually, it would be better described as the expansion of a singularity.
Actually, that's just a recent semantical nitpicky whine that atheists do now. And false distinction between the word, quote, explosion and, quote, expansion. Given the fact that a, quote, explosion is an expansion. And why call it a big bang then? The word bang means explosion or something like that. I mean, this supposed, quote, singularity expanded very slowly or very quickly. Regardless, it's an expanding out with a lot of force, supposedly. Therefore, quote, explosion would be a word also. Raising a fuss over the word there is silly and typical of atheist nitpickers and sticklers. But I use, quote, expand too, to make them happy. It's whatever.
It wasn't some supernatural force, creationist moron.
Okay, Mr. Atheist, if you agree that something can't come from nothing, then who or what caused the Big Bang? In other words, where did the original matter and energy come from that started the Big Bang?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold everything. This is an equivocation fallacy.
Here we go now. Let's hear this overly narrow and convenient nonsense definition of cause and effect. This nerdy clown, you'll see, drones on and on about supposed, quote, equivocation fallacy. And you'll see that he's either lying or is just sadly and stupidly mistaken, or can't see how it applies generally.
The law of cause and effect has to do with the transition of matter from one state of being to another state of being.
Actually, no. The law of, quote, cause and effect is not just limited to matter-changing state of being or whatever, to try to wiggle out of the problem.
For example, if a carpenter carves a block of wood into a chair, then the effect is that the wood remaining is now in the shape of a chair, and the cause is the carving. The carpenter doesn't magic a chair into existence. He causes the wood to change its state of being.
The cause and effect principle is broad. It's the concept of causality, in which an action or event will produce a certain response to the action in the form of another event. Let me give you some examples. If you were to see a ball bouncing or rolling down the street, you would not think that it started rolling or bouncing all by itself, but that something got that ball rolling. Or if you're in bed asleep and you hear a loud noise in the kitchen area, you don't assume that there was no reason or cause for the loud noise, which is why normal people would generally get up and check to see what caused that loud sound. Because logically and rationally, we just know that the effect, that being the loud sound, must have had a cause to even make that sound happen. It's just action-reaction. If I throw a ball down the street, the action of my throwing the ball causes the effect of the ball bouncing and rolling down the street. It could be argued that in some sense, the matter and material of the ball did change its state in a way, true, but regardless, when he says that cause and effect has nothing to do with causing matter to exist, why exactly would he say that? Because he himself never saw matter being caused to exist, quote, magically, as he puts it, so therefore limits, quote, cause and effect to only things that in his small mind, his small atheist mind, that he has seen or known, such as his, quote, carpenter carving wood into a chair analogy. Why couldn't an outside and supreme carpenter fashion things of the universe? Simply because it's too magical and beyond comprehension to even fathom that? But that doesn't matter, as that would be a, quote, cause and effect situation. Because again, the question is, how did matter even get here? What caused there to be, quote, existence in the first place? What caused there to be matter? The cause and effect principle is broad. That can easily be checked out on Wikipedia or any reference work. There are various applications for, quote, cause and effect, not just limited to the stuff that Mr. Atheist Apologist was constantly spewing out neurotically. It says very clearly that candidates for, quote, cause and effect include objects, processes, properties, variables, facts, and states of affairs. Characterizing the causal relationship can be the subject of much debate, true. But, you know, it does have many applications. You'll find it in physics, engineering, biology, medicine, psychology, economics, business management, law, theology, philosophy, everyday events and circumstances, not just, quote, mass changing from one state of being to another state of being, arf, arf.
So your entire argument falls flat because it's been revealed, by yours truly, that the law of cause and effect has nothing to do with causing matter to exist. It only deals with matter changing from one state of being to another state of being.
No, as I clearly pointed out, your argument falls flat, which is really your whole whiny argument here, in your wrong definition of cause and effect as just limited to, quote, matter-changing states of being. There are many applications and situations for the law of cause and effect. So the theist argument is valid, and you just dodge it all the time. What caused matter and energy to even exist in the first place? Why is it even here? Why is there even existence in the first place of anything? Atheism has no answer and never will.
Okay, sorry for stopping everything. We can continue now.
You idiot! The universe is a constant. It's just always been there.
Well, that would actually agree with the first law of thermodynamics, but once again, you can stop.